Mr. Fantastic.
What's going on, everybody out there? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional. What's going on, everybody out there? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional. Co-host is not here yet. Co-host will be here real soon, Mikey Fever. So right now we're with the brother, Dr. Paul Dyer. He just went out. He's going to come right back. Thank you to the two viewers in the building. Sorry, things have been a little bit been off a little bit due to the fact that my life is changing a little bit nowadays. But we're gonna keep the show going. Of course, keep it rocking. We're with Mr. Paul Dyer now, and then we have another podcast right after this that we're gonna post on Saturday. And of course, you got Flashbacks Fridays, and then we have Sunday, a live Sunday. So the only thing you're gonna miss, there will be no content tomorrow, though. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday back to normal schedule. Thank you to the two viewers that are on right now. Really appreciate you. Thank you for Dr. Paul Dyer for coming out this evening. Really appreciate you as well, brother. Being consistent and believing in a vision, and greatly appreciate you again. How you feeling?
I'm doing good, but you know what? Listening to all the program you guys going on, and you have a life too. Whether people want to believe it or not, outside New York perspective, you got things going on, right?
Exactly.
So thank you from us to you for allowing us to view the content. So that's my cheap way of having everyone else thank you like I would thank you, because I'm sure they would thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. I actually, people hit me up and on Facebook and stuff like that, and they say, "Man, you keep up the good work. You're doing a great job," and things like that. And those things I need to hear sometimes, because this platform could be controversial because we have people from different walks of life and religions and
oh, you mean the whole platform? You mean
platform.
Okay.
The whole platform.
Yeah.
The whole platform. So people that go, "Oh, you have Masons on there, and you have Moors on there, and you have this on there and that on there," and they don't understand that this is a universal platform. They don't understand. They don't get the point. The point of this is to have a universal platform, and whoever has an idea, whoever has a business, whoever has something to say and want to be heard, this is the platform for the people. If you don't know, who the audience out there, this is the platform for the people. If you don't know, everybody, come on, anybody can get them.
Sometimes, let me ask you this then, do you think people have platforms only for themselves, or is it for the people?
I would say, I would say some are for the people and some are for themselves, and some for maybe a little bit of both, I guess.
Okay. And where do you think you lie New York's perspective in?
I would say New Yorkers' perspective is more for the people.
And I have always felt that, even when we first talked about, hey, Dr. Dyer, here's what I really would like to do for the people. It never slipped from your vocabulary that this is for people. Because most of you don't know, he would call me and say, "Hey, Dr. D, man, you're a unicorn." He would say, "You're a unicorn. Your brain is big, right? People have to get to know you so they can understand the science about what's holding them back." Like you saw that. I believe in that, but you because I'm also a grandmaster of martial arts, if most of you people don't know, and the tree that Ron falls under, I'm on top of that. So so he knew of me, he's seen me, whatever, and things like that. But when he was like, "Dude, Dr. Dyer's GM's, he probably said Grandmaster's brain is big. That's probably the first thing he said. And he's like, and then we got to talk, and he's like, why don't people know this? Why don't people want to understand this? And that's why you asked me to start doing the programming we're doing.
Right. I think, in fact, this podcast to me, no disrespect to anyone else, but this podcast to me is the most important podcast on the platform, because we're talking about where it all, I'm going to say where it all starts, and that's in the brain.
Right. Right.
You know, so let's get it. Okay. You were going to say something?
No. So if it starts in the brain,
Mm-hmm.
then why haven't we been able to ask ourselves certain questions and really find out why I don't have that answer? People are literally okay with not having an answer. If I just told you McDonald's didn't have fries anymore, you would want to probably go to the Supreme Court and say they got to tell us why they're not having, fries.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But when it comes to the things that are in your brain and how it's happening, people are just okay really not knowing and ever wondering why. And on the flip side of being so cavalier, it has caused so much hardship.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not able to acknowledge your trauma. You're not going to be able to acknowledge joy. You're not going to be able to acknowledge the 360 way of living spiritual and holistically.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're never going to question why you haven't moved from A to B. Or why do I not see B? Why is B so easy for me to see, but A is so far for me to hear?
Right.
People don't have a vision or intention forward. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today, is really how come that happens.
Right. Right. So now I want to talk about the brain rewards and punishment system. And let's go into that. First question, what is the brain's reward system and how does it influence our behavior?
So the reward system gets programmed only by spikes in your certain levels of serotonin, dopamine.
Here we go.
So whatever spikes that creates it's a high. It's a woo. It's a whatever. It's that first flutter that the brain signifies. Boop, boom. I'm not even talking about what spiked it. But there was an incident that spiked dopamine and the serotonin levels from the prefrontal cortex right to the center part of the brain. Boom. That's the record. Let's pull that back into sometimes what we can see. It's a child going to an amusement park with its parents. So we go back in. That's where the spike comes in. Well, let's pull back out. What if it's the first time someone is experiencing some sense of hardship, pain? Let's zoom back in. There's a spike. The spikes have no picture. The only picture comes from what the information you give it after you recall the spike. Okay, so when you get a high or a good feeling, it's a recall. It is actually not what's happening right now. Like your favorite person and whatever, your mate, your person comes into your house and you just want to, oh my God, they're home. That's a recall memory you're acting out right now.
Mm. Okay. Okay. So that all comes from the subconscious mind.
Correct.
So the feeling not real, maybe?
Say it again.
It's kind of feeling is more of an illusion then.
No, feeling's an actual thing. How we interpret it is more illusionary.
Okay.
Because so let me get into something that is so maybe hard for people to understand. I get hit very hard by this material thing, and I really enjoy it. It arouses me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My arousal is me trying to catch that high. But when did that high get triggered? And what am I doing now so I can experience that high may not be the same thing.
Okay.
This is why we can get into addictions and issues and different types of addictions, because they're still trying to reach the same spike
Right.
that it had gotten early when.
Right. Got you.
So
Mm-hmm.
so we got to be careful how sometimes the pleasure center gets a bad rap because it gets blamed for all addictions. And we got to be careful when we say, well, you're addicted to alcohol. That means if we don't want you to be addicted to other things like transfer addiction, right? But what if I really love sailing and I want to go sailing all the time? Are you going to see like, oh, Paul, there he goes again. He's getting obsessed. Now he's put his addiction to sailing. He's always out on the water. That's unfair, because I am getting a good high from me sailing, but it wasn't because because of my pleasure center. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I really want to defend pleasure center brain just a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Now, the rewards. Now, you said the pleasure center brain, dopamine, etc. Right.
Yeah,
Now, what about the punishment part?
it's the same thing. It falls right into the same exact area.
Mm.
The same exact area. That's why pain has been known to be like, why do people keep it in the same bad relationship? They don't mean to, but that pleasure is there for them.
Mm.
Subconsciously, it's hitting some notes for them. If you want to look at it as a graph, more notes better than less. That's all. It's just the faces may change, but the conversations are the same.
Right.
If your conversations are literally the same, well, that's a whole different thing. But hitting the pleasure center and the reward system, it's all how we put that illusion picture we want to paint on it.
Gotcha.
If you think smacking around your kids is a bad thing, I'm sure other people have gotten pleasure from it. So be careful of the picture we put on the reward system and the pleasure center, because we can control that. Right now, you're being programmed to how it to be controlled as.
Got you. Now, what does how does dopamine play a role in rewards? I think we went over that, right?
We have, but it's so so dopamine it gets used so often. It's a chemical. What it is, it's a chemical, and in the chemical, it allows for like cells in blood, things like that. There's a secretion to it, So it's not like a liquid form, like it just like blood is something that's developed. So that's why it's liquid. This just like it appears through the body. It secretes from one of our adrenal glands. And by secreting means in that adrenal gland, it's all in there. And when that adrenal gland gets somehow fired, that adrenal gland pops open and secretes through all of its networks dopamine. That dopamine is a catalyst for anything you put on the other side of dopamine.
Okay. Makes sense. Got you. Now, what happens in the brain when we experience pleasure or achieve a goal? I think
So
it just maybe.
Yeah, I did, because it fires the dopamine. So sometimes people talk about, we talk about dopamine as it comes off the adrenal gland, and it's just it's like making your car faster with nitro or something, right? That's all dopamine is. Now, what you put that engine behind, it shoots it faster.
Okay.
Right? So people say, well, look at dopamine as an injection fuel. If you put it behind something that is you're negatively doing, you're just going to do it that much faster. Right? If it's for something good like studying hard, you can do it that much longer. It's really what you put it behind. So what's before dopamine? An actual thought. What you think is what fires the type of jets that's coming off the adrenal gland called dopamine is going to add to. So if your thoughts aren't healthy, it's going to move those thoughts faster through the body, then has other issues with the different organs and things like that.
Got you. What are some real world examples of how the brain? Oh, you already just did that. All right.
Ask it anyway.
What are some real world examples of how the brain's reward system affect? Okay, yeah, we can go with that. I figured you already just answered that, but
I did.
Anyway, yeah. But what are some real world examples of how the brain's reward system affects daily life?
Okay, so your habits with your habitual movements, you waste less energy. So dopamine is then gets built up for when you really want to exert it. It has more to pull from. That's what we form habits, so we use less energy. That is all how evolution is for us. We're trying to figure out a way how we can get more by using less. So we develop habits. So with habits, I don't have to think about how I brush my teeth, what hand I hold my rag with, how I take my shower, how I place it on my head, how I do those things. There is no thought process to it. Well, here's the problem with a no thought process as we have been evolving, is that now when you want to be conscious of who you are to understand your energy and power, you can't.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. A piece. Divine God Allah. Divine God Allah. If you still on the video, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Divine God Allah. What happened to Wise Prince? You the Divine God Allah that was on Wise Prince joint, right? Holla at me. Talk to me. Uh. Peace have been. Peace to you, bro. Peace to you. What school of thought does Dr. Paul Dyer subscribe to? Dr. Paul Dyer is a Mason. Mason. Um, so let's go into it. Neurological and physiological aspects. How do addiction and habit formation relate to the brain's? Well, I think you already went over that already. Again, okay. So, can the
But
brain?
here's the thing. I think what you're really asking is, can we rewire it?
I was getting ready to ask that. That was going to be the next question.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I don't know what's going on with you today, man. You're like magical. Like you already know what I'm going to ask.
So I think you're I think you're asking, can it be rewired? The answer is yes. The answer would be absolutely yes. Because what you have been wired up to this date, just think of all the things of your habits. Who gave you those habits? Did you actually figure out this is a great habit I'm going to utilize and this is why I'm going to continue to do it? If anything you do, you cannot say that to, that means someone else taught it to you, either by visual, either by, straight talk, but it came to you from not from within, it came from you on the outer.
Mm-hmm.
And I have nothing to say more about that because yes, are you talking about nature and nurture? Yes, but everybody's environment is completely, totally different. So anything outside of you developing what type of person you want to be, I don't know how you're going to fully understand how to utilize the good dopamine and not let it control you. But you can control the gas. You can control that power. Like intimacy. When you're really into someone, the dopamine is at it's so different level compared to if you just like someone. Now, both of you can actually end up knowing that anyway eventually, right? But because when you connect, it's that type of energy that increases the dopamine, which gives you that high, which gives you that euphoric feeling. I should say, not high, but euphoric.
Right. Now, how does social media trigger the brain's reward and punishment responses?
Well, because now with as you know how computers work and the digital screen and how there's many cameras and different lights flashing at a certain speed and frequency that just formulates numbers and things like that, this has all an effect on how your brain is watching it. Too much TV is bad for you. Yeah, it's not just that it's bad for you, the eye strain, the restfulness that you don't get. So all these visual concepts we are attaching to to put a picture on the dopamine.
Okay.
You see what I mean? Because as we're watching social media, if we like something, it increased our dopamine. That's simple as that. That's why when we stop, something catches our eye because somehow it's familiar in my speedy mind, and I can see that that's a little bit of an injection. So I like it. So we keep giving ourselves these small injections to ourselves. When you get more out of it, of increasing the dopamine, if you just deep breathe and relax for like, a minute. you increase more dopamine that way.
So you're saying receiving likes and giving likes increases the dopamine?
Yeah, receiving it, clicks off probably a little bit higher. Giving, yes, gives off some because I'm letting you know that I like it. So it's still a power system, right? So it gives those little little small raindrops when you can give yourself a big splash by taking a deep breath for a minute. You'll get the same power as you did scrolling for 3 hours.
How do pain and pleasure interact in the brain?
Remember the part in the brain where it has no picture. So what are you defining as pain and what are you defining as pleasure? What picture did you give it to give it that definition of pain versus pleasure? Inside the brain doesn't have pictures like you think it does. It's just a chemical factory. It's all by word of mouth, by numbers and liquids. That's what the body is. Until it gets down to certain organs, and then there's a little bit more moving pieces. But the brain is nothing but information being passed, either how it's being received by the chemical that it's on its back, right? It's just all interpretations. So it has no visual. So when you say pain, you got to tell me what that pain. Does it matter what the picture looks like? No, because the brain doesn't matter. The brain doesn't care if it's pain or pleasure. If it gives me the same spike, I take them both. Matter of fact, I'll just combine them. How about that? So now I just look for things that are painful and I call pleasurable.
Okay, got you. All right. What role does serotonin and endorphins play in contrast to dopamine?
So the serotonin, it starts getting into some of your waves, how your brain will respond to the type of wave patterns it is. Serotonin is what you call the more sensible brother sister to dopamine. Dopamine just wants to go, go, go. Serotonin wants to think about it. Like, I don't know. Maybe we should discuss this a little more. Dopamine's like, come on, let's go. That's all dopamine does, right? And so, because it has to be a balance. And that is where the other parts of the system starts to balance on the endocrine system. It starts to balance each other out and how it's being delivered. Yeah.
Okay. What about the endorphins?
So endorphins have dopamine and serotonin in it.
Okay.
See what I mean? You're just going up.
Okay. So endorphins have both serotonin and dopamine in it. Okay. So and serotonin is more of a would you say slow excretion than dopamine is, or is dopamine more speedy than serotonin, the way it's excreted throughout the entire body?
No, the speed depends on how fast it needs it.
Okay.
Right. So that's it. The speed depends on how fast we need it.
Okay.
The reason why I caught myself there for a second is because we actually can control what we think we need it for.
So you said you can control what we think we need it for?
Yeah, so you can control the speed of the dopamine.
Now, how is that? I mean, is it possible to, like, how can you like calm the wave? Maybe it's more of a wave thing. coming from the thought.
Okay, you're yes. It's just think if someone threatened you, someone threatened me as the caliber of person that I am skillfully, and I would say I'm going to say I'm in my daily wear, and someone says, "Man, I'm going to kill you." I don't have a rush of dopamine saying we better batten down the hatches, do all these other things so we can learn how to really protect ourselves. I don't have that. I can actually work on diffusing whatever it is, by the verbal judo type thing. First of all, I don't even know who you are. You could really be thinking that I'm someone else. Right? So I could use that instead of me jumping to all kinds of other things. And then there'll be just a dead man on the street. Either him or I. Either one, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's having dopamine without training. Excessive dopamine. So you can slow that down.
Okay. Got you. All right. I want to go on to the next one. So practical applications in personal development. How can we rewire our brain to associate rewards with healthy behaviors?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. And I'm going to say after you give yourself the reward, you give yourself forgiveness right after it. And here's what I mean. If it's for yourself or for others, because we don't give rewards enough. That we don't, right? You do an awesome job there. Or it's nice to see you today, right? Just had a feeling whatever. Those pleasantries are rewards. And we often don't give that enough, even if it's just a really healthy smile, right? Instead of, right, really like an embracing smile, like, yeah, I do see you. You don't have to see me. I'm just letting you know I see you. That's a different, so giving out those rewards is healthy. Mm-hmm. How to train yourself from reprogramming is that after you give yourself a reward, forgive yourself to saying, it's okay that I am going to do this. Because you would say to yourself, why would I have to forgive myself a reward? Because you're like, that's kind of sucks that I have to actually give my own personal self a reward, right? If someone else gave me a reward, like, Paul, you did a really awesome ... right? And I'm like, oh, thank you. Well, I don't have to forgive them, but I'm saying to myself, yeah, I did deserve that. So I'm like, I can compound the reward that he gave me, but we don't know how to compound the rewards we give ourselves. And that's through forgiveness and grace.
Nice. Okay. What are some of the strategies to break unhealthy habits reinforced by the brain's reward system? I think I just asked that, right? Strategies. I asked you already explained strategies.
Hold on. I think I can hear a question. So how can I work on myself by reprogramming, period, is to ask more questions of yourself. Become the murdering investigator. No, the investigator who's investigating a serious crime and murder of you. Until you find that murderer, it's going to be hard for the physical you to move forward. So right now, you've been murdered. So ask yourself detective questions. Why do I go this way? Where did that habit come from? Change things into your decision and not of habit. And forgive yourself and give yourself grace. That's how you reprogram yourself.
Got you. We got a Ben in the building. Let me see. Can you explain the way the brain responds to hugs and physical touch that is intimate? Does it have anything to do with why the issue stands up off of our body? Does it have anything to do with why the issue stands up off of our body?
Okay, hold on. Let's go. Can you explain the
Oh,
way
oh,
the
oh.
brain responds to hugs and physical touch? Yeah, let's answer that question. And that is intimate. Yeah, so let me answer
Oh,
that.
wait! Before you answer that question, because this is a great question. This is a dope question. Think now. I'm gonna go finish it off for you. Can you explain why the brain responds to hugs and physical touch that is intimate? Does it have anything to do with why the hairs stands up off of our body?
Yes. So our body is electrical magnetic field. When dopamine and serotonin is at a balance, that it rises, and your system rise almost like a watching a water rise. It rise equally in the body, so that field rises. So it affects that. That's why you see the hair stand up, because it's causing that effect on your hair.
Wait a minute.
Actually,
Hold on. So you're saying dopamine causes that?
yeah, the rays of equal pleasure, all of it together. Yes,
Oh wow.
it's the same reason why people can do in martial arts. They do things where the types of breaks they're able to do. It's exerting it. But that's more of a focusing. All that comes through the same way and the same frequency as dopamine is being excreted.
Got you. Got you. Great question, Ben. Great question. Um, let's go to the next one. Did we finish? Da-da-da-da. How can we understand the brain's punishment system help without? I mean, sorry. How can we? How can understanding the brain's punishment system help with overcoming procrastination?
Well, so the things I understand that we are such workable people, physically, emotionally, mentally, that it's tough to think of things as it can be, because it's allowed to be phrase. With that being said, is you're getting something out of not doing or being lazy. It's chemically giving you something that helps you euphorically sit. So for you to not be lazy, you have to, because to not get something from doing nothing, whatever that nothing is. I don't know what the word I don't know what people consider lazy, because everyone has its different levels. But if you having a hard time adjusting, then you're getting a chemical dump that keeps you there. And you keep feeding into it every time you even think of it, saying, I should do something, or this should be different, or one day I'm going to change that. You increase the high to continue to sit, because you're reinforcing that sitting even though it's a negative way of doing things or not procrastinating or doing whatever, it's not good. You get high from not doing it.
Right. Got it. Got it. That's okay. You got more? You going to say something
Yeah.
else?
So for to way to get out of that is to believe that a schedule supersedes your personal feelings.
Right. That was a great one. I mean, hey man, did anybody hear that? Did you guys catch that one right there? Because that helped me. What are the risks of relying on external rewards for motivation?
I like kiwi. I do. I know I just can't see myself putting 4 pounds of sugar on it and believing it's going to make it taste better. Sounds ridiculous. And actually, if you visualize it, the little kiwi cut in half and pouring, 4 bags of sugar on it seems ridiculous. So what's my point? What do you think my point is?
Man, I mean, the external reward would be the sugar you put on the kiwi. That
If you think external stuff helps the kiwi even grow, think about growing, how it's grown, for that little taste, you think you could help it by pouring sugar on it. Well, if you really want to help how the kiwi was tasting, you have to learn how to regrow a different kiwi. That means you have to completely go back through the process of yourself. And there's the laziness. And that's why people stay where they stay.
Got you. Oh, now are mirror neurons effective to us as they are to animals?
Yes, very much. So mirror neurons, these things are so cool. And it goes to the understand who you are around. Mirror neurons actually gets its information from external first, and then it passes through the internal self wall. Okay, so if a person that you are sitting in a room with starts to frown, without you knowing, the mirror neurons will start to duplicate it in its way it's going to do on your body. So now it has to give it some type of sense of why are we doing this? So it starts making up all these false records. Like, we need to furrow our brow because we had saw something that he's not going to like. So they really start falsifying all these really records because they're just mirroring things in the area, bad or good. And they do that with each other. So it's mirror neurons but they're so simply turned. They're a type of neuron that they're easily convinced to be part of something good. But inside the body, they're literally flipping. If they could get someone else to flip how they flip, bad or good, then they stay the way they are. That's why they're so. It's a They're a crazy neuron. Right.
Now, can mindfulness or meditation help regulate the brain's reward and punishment responses?
Yeah, because you're changing the picture, or you're taking away the picture. You got to take away the picture you created. You got to dissolve those pictures, labels, and then you're able to start inputting it how you want to have inputted. My suggestion is how to stop from inputting so quickly externally was every car you look at, see if you could say a different color than the car that it actually is. So if you look over at if the car is blue, you say, man, look at that yellow Honda. See how fast you can come up with the color. The more you do that, the more you saying, I'm deciding what color that car is. It's just a mind. You're taking back your mind and what is being introduced. Right? That's it. And it's a simple thing. You can do it all by yourself. You can do it quietly and go, man, look at that tall kangaroo in the subway. Right? And if that's difficult for you to say because you're like, but it's not a kangaroo. That's how come it's so hard for people, because they realize they're stuck in what they believe it should be, and that's where the difficulty is it's hard for them to change.
Got you. All right. Do modern technologies and instant gratification reshape our brain's reward system?
It does. It obviously things can be done positive or negatively. You can do instant gratification and it help recalibrate and reformat. But if you overuse it, now it becomes a detriment. You know what I mean? So that's why I always say I love science. Science is a science. There is no this for Paul and this for Ron, right? It doesn't fit like that, right? So if how to work instant gratification opposed to over instantly gratificated is that what if you give yourself a every Friday I buy lottery tickets, or I don't know, Monday or whatever. Every day I buy these lottery tickets. So there's a constant of doing that. That's an instant gratification. But what if you go there and decide, get there and say to yourself, I'm not buying lottery tickets. Go there and say, I'm not buying lottery tickets. Wherever that you feel in your body is where that's being held at. And that will lead you back to what's holding you back too.
Okay, so you're saying, let's say I have an urge to eat cookies.
Right.
And I say, you know what? I'm not going to eat those cookies. Whatever feeling I get in my body, that's exactly where that is coming from.
Yeah, but do that at a bakery. Be like, I love cookies. Man, I'm going to get those. Nope, I am not. And once you feel that it starts giving you that detective clues to figure out how come you're stuck. Those are clues. That's why we keep going back to self-awareness.
Yo, did y'all hear that? Like, are we doing a podcast by ourselves here? Are we doing a podcast alone? Did y'all hear that? Somebody in the chat say check. Put a check in there, put a 7 in there, put a 1. Did y'all hear that? What are y'all sleeping? Oh, wow. That's that right there. That's like, I gotta remember that. I gotta write that in the notes or something. There. That's crazy. Okay, that's a good one. All right.
You see how it brings it around now? Because we've talked about a lot of things, and a lot of things have these different pieces to it, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes around. There's that wheel. That's why there's different allegory issues when it comes to the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't understand not just so much how it's turning, but how it was built to turn, and
Gotcha.
and you keep those things I'm talking about is working on meditation, working on different side things of reprogramming your head, like speaking to the car or to something that isn't what it is, and create the illusion and say, "Yep, that's what it is." Right? Because until you reformat yourself, then everything that's coming in to your brain, pleasure center, reward system is developed by someone else other than you.
Right. Now, this was a good one right here. Is the brain naturally wired for discipline, or does it crave consistent rewards? Or constant rewards? Sorry, constant rewards.
Discipline is really a reward. You can look at discipline as a positive, you can look at discipline as a negative. But if someone told you I'm disciplined, they would just have to assume that, man, he's very, consistent on what he does as a regiment.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say I'm going to discipline my child, they're like, well, how are you going to do it? They're like, you're going to hit him with a broomstick? It's automatically a negative. So often when we say discipline, we mean the reward. There's something going to get something out of it. If you live on a discipline reward system in your life, then there's some losers and there's some winners. And you're saying you get to pick out which one is which in your world. That's a disciplined life. There is strict guidelines into being disciplined. It is or it is not.
Now, would you say sometimes people are a bit excessive with discipline? Like, I'm thinking, like, for a schedule for me to block out time for every single thing. Like, there's nothing in my schedule where I'm just doing absolutely nothing. And if I am doing absolutely nothing, I scheduled that absolutely nothing.
I'm the same way. So I schedule my nothings, and I'm really okay with it. Like, it doesn't even bother me, like having to want to reach over or grab that device and look and do. Nope. But my nothing is nothing.
Right. Right. So it's nothing wrong with just having a complete schedule from morning to sleep.
No. Not if you schedule it and you know why you're scheduling it.
Right. All right. Can for the last question is this? I have more, but no, this is the last question. Um, can artificial intelligence and neuroscience be used to enhance or manipulate the reward system?
Yes. But they've been doing that, wait a minute, since 1921 when Talking Pictures had its first commercial.
Mm-hmm.
When people start having commercials and ads, that was the programming. So if you're asking, can AI, it would just be more of the same. AI will not be able to do if you are able to not allow it, because it would have to be external on AI. like the way I'm working with neuroscience and AI is combining them internally. Anything that AI can do that could disrupt or have a play on your pleasure centers, all external. So it's all how you perceive the intake, like a commercial or an ad in a magazine or whatever that is, has nothing to do with you. Like, there's more things you look at in a day that has literally nothing to do with you. But you pay attention to it because of the programming.
Got you. On that note, man, thank you, Dr. Paul Dyer. Really appreciate you for coming out this evening. That was a dope show, man. If you didn't catch it, rewind it. It's always a pleasure having you on the platform, brother, Dr. Paul Dyer. Next week, back to the normal schedule. Monday, 7 p.m. Dr. Paul Dyer will be on live. Dr. Paul Dyer will be on live. I'm going to put the phone number up there next Monday if you want to call in and ask questions. Dr. Paul Dyer asks Dr. Paul Dyer questions. For those on the audio, listening on Spotify or Apple, tune into the YouTube, that unicorn. Tune into the YouTube. NYP Talk Show is the YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that bell for the notifications. And we are out of here. Peace.